Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Dharma Time. I'm your host, the Dharma Guy. As always, here with the Dope Doctor.
Why were you so low? Hey.
I don't know, man. And as always, we are here on WPSN99.com, the problem-solving network, where we...
What? Stream Solutions?
Wow.
I was reading.
That was so smooth. It was such a good transition.
Always on the ready.
That's right, man. That's right.
I was reading.
Oh, my God. Anyways, welcome. If you're listening live, it is a somewhat beautiful Tuesday. Still kind of warm. However, I know we got a big cold front coming through, so I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah.
Before we get started on today's show, which is going to be about letting it unfold, which I think is going to be a good topic today. Obviously, I'm biased. I think every show is a good topic, but I do believe this is going to be a good one for people today. Having said that, before we get started on the topic, let's go ahead and thank the people who let us do this every week.
Amen.
We have 3 different treatment facilities that we refer to, both as a foundation and as a radio station. We got Retreat Behavioral Health, Journey Pure, and Gatehouse Treatment. All 3 fantastic facilities. We have Orange County Drug Free Coalition, which has been supporting the Couch Live, one of our other shows, for over 20 years. So that is fantastic. And then, of course, the Now Matters More Foundation, of which he is the founder and the president. We have a committee meeting actually later on today to talk about our big gala that's coming up. Yeah.
Or gala, however you want to say
gala, I don't know. Well, you know what? We're going to have to find that out.
Yeah.
What do those in the know call it? Anyways, you can find out more about who we are and what we do at nowmattersmore.org, or you can call 833-NOW-MATTERS. That's 833-NOW-MATTERS. You said nope?
No, I said yeah.
Oh, okay. So wait a minute.
What about Subaru?
I was getting to them.
Oh, I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
Last but not least, we have Sports Subaru South, of which you and I were both just at over the weekend. Good crew down there. We were at their their morning meeting. Yeah, you almost walked out with a Subaru. I really thought you were going to, actually. Anyways, they have the Share the Love event, which starts on November 15th, which is right around the corner, and it goes through December 31st, to which they will be donating I think they're going to match $50 worth. We got all of our numbers wrong for the past month. Bottom line is they're donating money to the foundation for every car that's sold. But I think you have to, if you're purchasing the car there, you have to tell them which charity you would like to elect. Yeah. And it would be us. And we're going to get some heavy hitters though.
Dude, Make-A-Wish Foundation,
ASPCA. We got some.
Really?
Yeah, we're going to get some heavy hitters.
That's not even fair.
No.
That's like putting that little kid that's on TV with the Shriners Hospital against me.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
But they push us, so we'll see. It's going to be interesting. Once I saw that,
Trinity,
I was like, wow.
or thank you very much.
Yeah.
How do you beat that?
I don't even know, man. But as always, you can also follow us on social media. For the station, it's at WPSN99. Yeah. For myself, it's at the Dharma Guy. For him, it's at the Dope Doctor. And then, of course, you can do at Now Matters More. And then if you want to watch any of these older videos, edited versions, you want to share it with your friends, you go to youtube.com/Dharma Time.
Yeah.
There we go. I think that's everything.
What up, Loy?
What's up?
Hey, man, would it be wrong to
Yes, it would be totally wrong.
Well,
whatever you get ready to say, your moral compass is off. So it's a no.
Would it be like wimpy to be in a blanket while doing this show? I'm freezing. You got me freezing, and I forgot my jacket. Yeah, I accidentally took the jacket that was here home.
I think it's because it's not 100 degrees outside today. I think that's why.
Yeah. By the way, what is this? Let me ask. Anybody know who is this?
Deadpool.
Oh, you knew that?
Of course I know who Deadpool is. Are you crazy?
Okay. I didn't know.
Anyways,
I didn't know who I was wearing.
How do you not... do we even need to get into how you got a T-shirt that I'm assuming your wife or somebody bought that for you?
My daughter and John. I think they did tell me Deadpool, but I forgot until right now when you said it.
Okay. It's pretty...
I knew it wasn't Spider-Man.
No, it's not Spider-Man. Not even. Spider-Man is much more friendly than Deadpool would be. Anyways, so let's get started, man.
So is that a no to the blanket? I'm looking right at that red blanket, but it looks kind of,
It looks like a shawl, man. You should be knitting something. Go for it, man. Get that on film.
I kind of want to be honest with you. I don't want to.
Get your glasses on and everything.
Don't think I won't, bro.
Start asking me what I'm doing with my life.
Hey.
Offer me some piece of hard candy.
Hey. You go make fun. I'm going to go get it. I'm freezing.
Oh, God. Anyways. All right. So today's show, man. So I had some people reach out to me.
Okay.
And it was interesting because as usually happens with this show, once we kind of figure out a topic, or like topics kind of seem to figure themselves out almost.
Yeah.
Last week we had the loss and healing.
Or 2 weeks ago.
And was it? No, it was last week.
Was it?
Yeah.
I remember.
Anyways, so this week, same thing. I've had a significant amount of people who have reached out to me over the last probably week, I guess. And they're all kind of, and I don't know if it's the holidays. I don't know what's causing it. But a lot of people seem to feel like they're in a position where they're stagnant, I guess. Where they feel like they should be doing more, or things are not happening for them the way they think that they should be happening for them at the moment. Whether it be business, whether it be personal, it doesn't matter. They all have varying, circumstances, but the overall thought is the same, and that is, this isn't working.
Right.
Right? And so I figured we could address that today.
Wanted to make an adjustment.
That's right. And so I think that the three main categories we're going to try to do our best to relate this to today would be relationships, both romantic or non, right. Career, and just life in general, just life as we experience it every day. So I think with let's start with relationships. Why not?
Let's
start there. The little key points I have listed over here. I'm not really sure which one pertains directly to that.
Okay,
but I'll say. We're gonna ditch that like we always do. I'll somewhat keep it. But
we're gonna ditch something.
I think we're better just kind of off the cuff.
Man. Just do it.
So with relationships, I think that be it where I hear this most often when it comes in terms of relationships, I usually hear it in the beginning stages of a relationship. Like, hey, does this person want the same things that I want? Are we going to, end up married someday? Or, right. Maybe one person wants to move faster than the other one. Or how do I, is this working the way it's supposed to be working? Right. Like, for instance, there's somebody I know that is currently going through some relationship counseling.
Yeah.
And there's another individual that is relaying this information back to me.
Right.
And they were saying, hey, they've already been to 3 sessions. Things should be getting better. And I was like, well, that's not quite how it works.
Nah, not quite.
Right? And they were like, well, that's because they're not interested in changing things. They're there just to make sure the other person. I was like, hold up. That's how everybody goes to a relationship. Right. I've never met anybody in my life that goes to a relationship counselor thinking, oh, I can't wait to hear how I'm screwing things up. Oh. No, it's almost always, I'm here to make sure you get it right so the other person doesn't sit there and control all this. And then a good therapist will kind of help each other see from different perspectives, maybe get some homework, whatever. And over a course of time, you end up making these changes and you look back like, wow, I didn't even realize we were making them. I mean, a good therapist will do that.
Right.
But the key word there is time, right? And so to me, I think one of the biggest, I guess, lessons as we start this whatever you want to call it, this magnificent show that we're on.
Yeah.
I will say one of the biggest takeaways so far to start with is A, trusting the process, and B, managing expectations.
Right, and in therapy, for sure, you have to trust the process.
Yes,
because it's like losing weight, though. You deal with weight loss and stuff like that when you help people. Trinity, it's like some people, they shed it real quick, like initially, and then it goes in that plateau.
Yeah,
same thing can happen in therapy. You can go in, and that first session could be magical, and so many things are going through your head, and you feel like you guys have made so much movement, but then it kind of goes back to some of the same old things, how you guys are treating each other. Very similar to that.
Yeah, well, even in weight, what I usually get too is like people will, they'll come to me like, I just want to lose weight in my stomach.
Right.
I was like, yeah, it doesn't happen that way.
Just in one spot.
Yeah, it doesn't happen that way. Like, or genetically speaking.
I want to keep my fat face, just not my fat belly.
Well, I'll have people who genetically, like, I had this one guy one time I was training years ago.
Yeah.
He lost weight. And it's going to sound like I'm making this up, but I'm not. Right. He lost weight in his feet first.
What?
Like, he found out his shoe size changed as we were doing it. And he was upset because, like, dude, I want to lose weight. I don't care about my feet. I was like, man, that's just genetically where your body pulls it from, bro.
That is so weird, man, because I just want to lose it in my face sometimes.
Yeah.
So if I could just lose it, maybe I try to talk a lot to see if that would work.
Is that why?
Instead, I think I build muscle.
Yeah. So I would say, though, that when it comes to I guess we're sticking with relationships for the time being.
Yeah.
Trust the process. You know, like if you're in a situation, trust the process and manage expectations. Yeah. Like if you're in an actual therapeutic situation, trust the process, man. Like you're going to somebody who knows what they're doing. Like you're paying them to do something. Stop. Like you obviously don't have the answers, which is why you're here. Yeah. So stop trying to make what the other person's doing to fit within what you think should happen. You don't have the answer. Just follow directions. Show up, answer the questions, open up, be honest. If there's any homework, do the homework.
And you know what? To be honest with you, if you're trying to control where you go in the therapy or try to control where
maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, that's probably an indicator of why you're in there in the first place. You know, just so it's like you think, is this the person that when they get mail they just rip it open and then rip the mail that's actually inside the envelope? Because that's kind of what you're doing.
Well, and the other half of that I would say is manage expectations when it comes to relationship. And this isn't just in a therapeutic sense. Right. This is just we did obviously a 3-part series, which you can catch on YouTube.com/Dharma Time on relationships. I know we covered it before, and that is, manage your expectations. Like when it comes to relationship wise, thinking that you should be further along than you are, or thinking that this person should be doing this or shouldn't be doing. Stop.
Yeah,
stop expecting.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, like, stop. No. I'm sure my wife expects me to do all sorts of stuff that I don't do on a daily basis.
I cannot be who you expect me to be, Dana.
Exactly.
And you know what? You can't be who I expect you. Yeah. Because I don't. That can change from day to day anyway.
Exactly.
I may want you to be somebody.
Exactly.
One day and somebody. The point is that if you're with that person, you may want to think about why you fell in love with the person in the first place.
Right.
And, this was probably already there.
Yeah. And actually one of our listeners just made a comment, which is interesting because that was on our bullet point list.
Okay.
I don't think she knew that, but she said, I think impatience is more of the issue there. Wanting progress to happen fast. Expectations framed in a good way are faith and hope. Some have expectations other will never meet. And I think that's the point of trusting the process is patience.
Rapido.
Like allow things to unfold, right? And especially, let's say in a relationship, since that's what we started with. The way I look at it is, we as human beings, especially if you're listening to this show, I'm going to assume you're at least in your late teens, if not early 20s, minimum.
Well, according to our demographics.
According to our demographics, we do well with the 35 or something.
Yeah.
Regardless, my point is, you've had like 30 years potentially establishing certain habits and routines, and so is your partner. To think that they're going to just completely change and go away in 6 months time of knowing one another and dating, really?
Yeah.
Like, stop. You've had 30 years to develop this. It's not going away in 6 months. I don't care how much you love the other person. Yeah. It just doesn't happen that way.
Right.
But you got to trust the process. Trust the I'll call it the art of falling in love. Trust
that's just
exactly. I know.
Coming soon to a bookstore near you.
Exactly.
Trinity.
But for real, like I know for myself, in my own relationship, I had to trust in the process of marriage, and I had to trust that we will eventually get it. Because early on it was hard for us. Early on in that first year of marriage, man, it was a lot of new stuff coming at us that we weren't necessarily equipped to handle at that moment in our lives, and we had to learn how to balance. We had to learn how to communicate and how to listen, and we wanted it right now, and it's like, well, marriage shouldn't be this hard. Why I thought that, I'll never know, because marriage is really hard.
Well, relationships are hard, period.
But at the time, I was like, it shouldn't be. Yeah, it is hard, but it's worth it, Right. But I had to trust the process of, we'll get it, right. And it was very difficult to think that, because in life we typically will sit in whatever we're in at the moment, and it should be different, and it has to happen now, and so for me,
well, now does matter more.
It does, and so for me, I guess that goes to the title of our show: is let it unfold, man. Like, shh, just relax, let it unfold, let it happen.
Well, and the thing is that you kind of hope that you kind of grow together. Like when you're talking about relationships, you're kind of hoping that if you picked right, if your picker's not broken, and their picker's not broken, you picked right.
Yeah.
So as you mature and grow older, hopefully it's like the tree into the sign.
Right.
You're like a sign on a tree, and the tree just kind of grows around the sign and just hold on to it. You kind of hope that's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
If not,
like a fungus.
Look, mold is real.
That's right.
Mold is real. So if I'm a mold on Dana's beautiful porcelain,
sure,
then that's just what it is.
Yeah, man. And then in the same token, to transition,
because I'm not going anywhere, Trinity.
Exactly. And to transition to our other topic, the way we don't make it all relationships, and career is the other one I hear a lot.
Right.
People feel that they should be making more than they are, or they should be further advanced in their career, or
too often, Trinity.
Yeah, it's like, like I should be making more than this, or I should be further along, or I should have more plaques or awards.
I should be a supervisor. I should be a manager.
Supervisor. Yeah.
I should own my own business instead of this jerk off that owns it and making all the money.
I'm stagnant right now, and things aren't moving. Whatever, and so to me, the same concept. It's the exact same philosophy, and that is. Let it unfold, man. Let it unfold. Trust the process.
Yeah.
There are many stories. I know it sounds cliche, but there's many stories of the guy who started in the mailroom and ends up like a supervisor 10 years down the road or whatever. Like, those things really do happen. You show up, provide value, hustle, get to know the system, contribute. The powers that be will notice that value moving forward. I mean, it does happen. But it won't happen tomorrow.
Right.
Like, you're going to be overlooked if you're starting in the mailroom thinking that you should be a supervisor when you come in tomorrow. Right. You're ignoring the other process that these other people who might have degrees and everything else who are looked at ahead of you, you're ignoring their process.
I see that one all too often. I worked for many years to be able to ask for what I asked for.
Sure.
And when I see new jacks come in and immediately just think I should get that because I've been in it like a year or 2 years, it's like, if you can get it, get it.
Yeah, good for you, bro.
Get it.
Yeah.
But to jump ship just to keep getting $1 more or a quarter more everywhere and keep jumping, you show no stability. So at the end of the day, someone like me, when I look at resumes before I hire, I'm not hiring you. If you keep jumping around, it's just not what I look for stability.
Yeah.
And it can't always be the employer's fault. You can't bring me four stories of the employer, the employee 4 times. I mean, it might be you.
Yeah.
Because here's what I did learn. I learned math. I did learn common denominators.
Yes.
So after a while, you have to look at that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, especially in career, I will say that I was guilty of that angst myself years ago. Probably still am to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Because it's hard for me sometimes, where it was harder than it is now, obviously. At a point in my life, it was very hard to, especially actually to be honest, when I initially got into the more spiritual way of thinking on things.
Yeah.
One of the things I struggled with is finding the balance between being motivated and hungry and going after what I want, while at the same token trusting the process and letting things unfold.
Yes.
That was the hard balance for me, because my natural aggressive tendencies are to, kick open the door, go in and take what I want. Like,
right. That's called robbery.
Yeah. Me and OJ are hanging out this weekend. Yeah. But but then the other half of me is like, no, you got to kind of like be patient, and let things kind of unfold. The right way will kind of show itself.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult. And one of the best analogies that was given to me years ago was the headlight thing, where when you're driving in a car, you might not be able to see the entire road in front of you. Right. But with the headlights, you can see 3 or 4 feet in front of you, and you're just trusting that there's an additional 3 or 4 feet as you're driving.
There's no deer there.
Yeah. And so the same thing in life, we wake up, we go to work, we got to trust that what we're doing right now is going to pay off. What we're doing right now is going to lead to the next, decision, if you will, the next events. And that's hard for a lot of people, I think. It's hard for, especially now, I think we're getting closer to the holidays.
Right.
And for whatever reason, we have that new year, new me concept.
Right.
And so as we get closer to years, it makes us reflect on our previous year. And we start to ask ourselves, like, did I accomplish what I want to accomplish in this year? Am I moving forward? Right. Where's the next year going to lead?
Right.
And while I like that concept, and I think it's necessary for us to take an inventory of where we're at, I also think it's trusting our managing our expectations. Like, to think, for instance, in a year's time, I started a new business and I'm going to be a millionaire.
Right.
You might want to manage. You might want to taper that down just a little bit.
Yeah. Be 100 air first.
Exactly.
And then 1,000 air.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to get discouraged if you have unrealistic expectations.
Yes.
Right? Like, you get discouraged and start to think that the problem is the world and not your thinking. And no, it's actually your thinking.
Well, I mean, it's like, some of you feel like you're running in circles, right?
Yeah.
And, career-wise, you feel like you're moving in circles, and maybe you are. Maybe you need to take some inventory, and maybe you are.
Yeah.
Or maybe you've reached the cap of the career choice compared to your academic achievement, or compared to your region, right? Because sometimes you may have to move. Some people, in order to make it financially in life, have to move to those places. You think all those people want to live in New York?
Jobs.
No, some people live in New York specifically because that's where they can make the most money in finance. So it makes sense. But if you're living in Des Moines, Iowa, and you're like, well, I'm not making what people can make with a finance degree. Well, because Des Moines, Iowa probably doesn't have what you need.
It's
not the go-to place for finances. So, but maybe New York is, and that's kind of some of the deal as well. Or your academic level, like I said, some people say, I've been working a long time, and then this guy comes right out of college and he gets it. Well, it's because sometimes you require a degree, and sometimes that's a waste of time. It just really depends on what you're shooting for.
Yeah, and one of the other things, just to, once again, this is a spiritually based show, so we're going to bring it back there for a second.
Do that.
And that is one of the things that some advice was sought after lately. And one of the things that I brought up to a couple individuals that were asking me these types of questions, and was, are you getting fulfillment in other areas of your life? Right? Matter of fact, I brought up the 4 quadrants, by the way.
Oh.
Yes. I brought them back up.
Yeah.
And my point in all that was just saying that if you're relying too heavily to get your fulfillment through your career or even your relationship, that might not be giving you the fulfillment that you're requiring, because it's not meant to give you all of your fulfillment. Like, I get fulfillment from what we do here. Like, I enjoy getting phone calls and emails about how we've helped somebody or whatever. I get fulfillment from my wife when I go home, and I experience all that marriage brings to my table. But at the same token, I get fulfillment just with being who I am and my philosophy in life.
Right.
Had I just, if I was only relying on career-wise or marriage-wise, I think I'd be pretty stressed out and pretty disappointed.
Or superficial things.
Yeah, because it just wouldn't cut it. And I would constantly have this itch that's not scratched, and I'd be constantly wondering why I need to change this and change that, when all reality is just my spiritual base needs to I need to put some loving into that.
Right.
And so, like, for me, one of the individuals, I asked him, I was like, look, I think that this person was having a problem, or they were feeling stagnant at their education level.
Right.
They're in school at the moment, and they felt like they could be getting more if they were to through internships and stuff as opposed to school. And I was like, look, sad truth is, what you're trying to go into, you're going to need that paper.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have that degree. It just is what it is.
Right.
And so you're going to have to kind of slow down and just allow the situation to unfold. On the side, if you'd like to approach internships in the meantime, by all means. But maybe you should also look into, like, some philanthropic work. Maybe you should look into ways of giving back to get that fulfillment, so you're not so intently focused on school. Or like, this school has got to give me my fulfillment.
Or even the class.
Yeah, or the class. Like, it's just not going to.
Right.
It's not meant to either.
That class may suck.
Yeah.
That teacher may not be that good for you.
And it's not meant to fulfill every need. It's meant to give you your degree.
Right.
That is it.
Yeah.
Your fulfillment comes through other areas.
Yeah.
And so, to me, that's where, like, trust the process comes into play. Is trust the process to be what it is. It's meant to get you a degree. It's not meant to fulfill all your needs in life.
Yeah.
Nowhere did I see that on any memo from schools saying, "Oh, we're going to take care of all your needs." No, we're going to teach you, we're going to educate you, and you're going to get this.
Right.
And so we got to find other areas to kind of make that fulfillment. And for me, that's where spirituality comes in. For sure, I guess. But
well, yeah, and like you said, I mean, if that balance is not there, and you're not feeling, fulfilled in your business, I like that, what you're saying, because you might be trying to fill up that tank with some other kind of fuel.
Yeah. Like
something that you need in another area, but you're ignoring that area because you don't think it's attainable, or you don't think that's really the issue.
Yeah.
You don't go fix your carburetor when it's your transmission. You know what I mean? But you might. Well, and then it's still going to do the same noise.
Would you like to fill everybody in on the 4 quadrants very briefly?
Well, I mean, basically, when we talk about the 4 quadrants, what we're talking about is the physical life. In other words, you have a physical life to you, and if you're unbalanced physically and you don't feel well physically, it's going to drain from other areas, which are spiritual, physiological, which is what you put in the tank, right? What you put inside yourself, and psychological. So any of those 4 things, physical, psychological, physiological, or spiritual, if any of them are in pain, they draw from the others. So, for instance, if physically I'm not doing well, I start psychologically not feeling like getting up or moving around or doing what I got to do. And if I'm doing that stuff, then I start eating poorly. So physiologically now I'm putting bad stuff in my body. And then so spiritually I don't feel altogether well because I'm just not, I'm feeling blah. Yep. So they all, but if they're in balance, if each one, you put a little focus on each one and you keep it in balance or in check, then it kind of brings them all up together and you're not wanting. And if you're wanting, that's, at least for me, I can be dangerous. When I'm wanting, that can be dangerous because the way I read into wanting could be different on any given day.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's no. In other words, there's no clean answer for a want.
No.
Like you said, the itch. Yeah. Well, remember, you can scratch an itch with a lot of different things.
Of course.
You know, it doesn't have to be your little alligator arms or whatever. It can be a wall, but unfortunately, it could also be another person.
Yeah.
And that's when you're in relationships or you're in a business relationship. They don't want you scratching that itch with another business, and your relationship person doesn't want you scratching it with another person.
Yeah. And so I think, and our third, area, if you will, was life, and life in general, I guess.
Right.
And obviously, life in general encompasses everything that we've talked about.
A lot of stuff.
But I think that part of that, and we touched on it in the previous show, and that is trust. Like, given the right intentions, right? If your intent is to become a better person, if your intent is to make money, if your intent is to help out, whatever, as long as it's the right intent, if you will.
Right.
You gotta trust that your actions are taking you towards the right direction.
Right.
And I think that is a hard thing for a lot of people to do, because we're like a anxiety-ridden society at the moment. We're very worried about this and worried about that. And I was guilty of it myself. I think I told the story years ago on one of our other shows, but I remember it's trivial, but it's an example nonetheless. A long time ago, I was debating on whether or not to buy a new motorcycle.
Yeah.
Right? It's a trivial example, I know. But I'm a frugal bastard, right? Like, I think we share that in common.
Yes,
I
sir.
hate spending money,
Yes,
but I don't have
sir.
to. And so, but I was a big dude, and I had a 600cc bike. I loved that bike, but I was manhandling it. I wanted something a little bit bigger, a little bit more power, and I wanted it was in the R1. But the R1 price tag is a little bit more than a 600 price tag. And so I was debating it, and I was going over, like, should I do it? Should I not do it? And when I say the monthly price, it was nothing.
Right,
like,
right.
I could totally afford it.
Right.
But at the time, it just felt so intense because I was like, I don't know if I can do it. I was just worrying about all these ifs, ands, or buts. And I'll never forget my buddy Terrence was working with me. He's like, dude, like, you're freaking Trinity, dude. You'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. Like, no matter what it is. Like, and it had to remind me of, like, yeah, duh. Like, I've made it to this point in my life, and I'm fine. Like, I've trusted my judgment my whole life, and it's gotten me where it's gotten me.
You're one of the lucky ones.
Well, touche. But I've made good decisions. Things just work out. Like, I'm still alive. I haven't got hit by a bus today, so obviously I'm doing something right. And so I just did it. I pulled the trigger, and I had fun. And long story short, actually, that R1 helped me drive my truck right now because I traded that in or sold it to somebody. But the point was, it was difficult for me to trust the process, trust that it's going to work out. Right. It was very hard for me to kind of, like, I guess in the religious world, it's like let Jesus take the wheel kind of a thing. Right. It was very hard for me to not micromanage and control that and worry about every little outcome. Right. Just trust, dude. Let it unfold. Let it be.
But see, maybe that's where some people struggle, Trinity, because some people know deep inside that they've, like, they'll say, I've had bad luck or bad things always happen to me, but it might be because they make some decision that's like a saboteur decision within that, and maybe just haven't figured out that maybe trust someone else's
and that's
judgment a little bit will help.
You have to be self-aware
someone else's guidance.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to be self-aware enough to know not to trust that instinct.
Right.
And that's where the self-awareness comes in, because we know, right? Like, we know.
Well, you should know, but I don't know if you all
I think they do.
I don't know everybody
I think
knows.
they lie to themselves, but I think they know.
Oh, they lie so good they believe it, though.
Touche. But, like, matter of fact, I was having that conversation last night with somebody, and they were asking me kind of like how to push down certain feelings, things of that nature. Right. And I was like, that's never the answer. The answer is to never push away feelings. The answer is to let those feelings show up, acknowledge that they're there, and then let them go away. Mm-hmm. And to know that about yourself. And I told her, I was like, look, you know the hardest people to take advantage and manipulate are the ones that are self-aware.
Yeah.
Because that's no longer we. It's the ones who are out there barking so much about how great they are and they don't have any weaknesses. They're so busy trying to tell the world that they don't have them.
No.
They're not paying attention to the person coming in the back door.
Right.
And so I said, those are the easiest ones to manipulate and get what you want. The hardest ones are the ones that are completely aware of their weaknesses, their strengths, and everything else. Because you can't go in that back door because they're looking right at you.
Yeah, like the person that looks at you and tells you, I can read people.
Yeah.
Did you just read that I just called you a dumbass right now?
Yeah.
Because that person, unfortunately, is setting themselves up for failure.
Sure. But so it's like, it's that's part of the game, is understanding reality for what it is.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, I'm just not good at these types of things, and trusting the process over maybe your own decision making. Trust the process is something I hear in almost every facet of life. There's got to be something to it. You know what I mean? Like we do a lot of work in the addiction world, and on that side of things, we tell people all the time, trust the process. When it comes to relationship stuff, trust the process. When it comes to career stuff, so there's got to be something to that.
And what comes with that, though? What typically accompanies that is that stop doing the same things expecting different results, right? So if the process, if your behavioral process or your process of decision making continues to fail you, well, also trust that process that you're going to continue to fail you, or these kinds of decisions are continuously going to run into that roadblock because that's been your MO.
Yeah.
And so if you want to adjust that or change that, well then, some adjustment's going to be absolutely necessary.
And then I know Marissa touched on it earlier when she was commenting on our live Facebook feed. Big word. Big word.
Oh, do I got to write it down?
No, it's big word in meaning, not in spelling.
Oh.
Patience.
Oh.
That is a big word, man. That is, and I don't know, like I remember when I was younger, I wanted to hurry up and learn patience.
Right.
and patience is something that really, truly does just come with time, dude.
Right.
That is something that is so hard for so many people to learn, especially if you're an aggressive individual, and you're used to getting what you want, or work hard to get this payoff, that kind of a thing. Patient, and I still struggle with it at times, if I'm honest. There's still times where it's like, dude, we need this, hurry up now. Like, come on, what's going on here? But that's where the patience comes into play, and trusting that it's going to work out, or trusting that what we're doing now is going to lead to a payoff tomorrow, kind of a thing. It's a lot of faith, to be honest with you.
Right.
A lot of faith that it's going to be okay.
Well, I mean, time moves anyway, right?
That it does.
And so
last I heard, anyways.
Yeah. So a long time ago, when I was striving for some accomplishments, Dr. Butkins, which is an old mentor of mine that I bought Quest Counseling for way back when, but he said time's going to move anyway, right? So if you're going to do what you're going to do, I mean, the difference is if you start doing this today, by that point in time, you're going to have it. Whereas if you keep delaying it because it's going to take a long time to get it, that you're going to be that old and you're still not going to have it. And you're going to I should have.
Yeah.
I wish I should have, could have, would. So that always stuck in my head. And so when I would do groups on patience, and like people want to talk about patience, I have no patience. This is part of my problem. So I want to work on patience. They want to put that on the treatment plan. So I said, all right, tomorrow we're going to talk about patience, or next week we're going to talk about patience, and we're going to work on that. Next week comes.
You tell them every week?
No, every week.
We'll talk about it next week.
So finally, somebody's going to eventually go, look, man, Louis.
You tell us every week.
Yeah. We're going to work on patience. We never get to it. I say, exactly, because there's just no work on patience. There is no set way to work on patience other than to simply wait and have patience. And then so I start talking about natural ways or parts of your life where you are just naturally patient.
Right.
Because you just don't try to rush it. For instance, if you just bought a house, like I just did, right, and you get this thing that says 30-year mortgage.
Ooh, yeah.
Can you imagine if every day I say, oh, man, I can't wait to have this house paid off. Oh, my God, why don't I have this house paid off? Why don't I have this house paid off? No, you just naturally know it's going to be 30 years, bro.
Yeah, it's going to be a while.
Right? Now, you might double it up a little bit, maybe make it 15. In other words, there's certain things you just...
Yeah.
You just know, no matter what type of anxiety or energy I spend, it's not going to rush this process. That exists. So you do have patience. You just don't want to attach it to this particular thing or this particular event. You want this one now.
Yeah, and that's where the managing of expectations comes in. I don't know why it was silly, but when you were saying all that, I was thinking about beard growth and hair growth for some reason.
Yeah.
That's what popped in my head.
Well, like when you did the game, you kept on putting on the pomade. Remember? You told me remember on the Red Dead when we were playing Red Dead.
Oh yeah.
In the character, you kept on saying, "Hey, if you put the pomade on before going to bed, and then just go to sleep, and then wake up," and I just kept doing that to make that beard grow faster. Like you found a way to manipulate the situation in fake life.
I did,
but in real life,
it just takes forever. I've had how many people have come to me, and that's the thing. It's like, well, what do you do? What's the secret? I was like, it's so complicated. Nothing. That's what you do. You just let it grow. Let it grow. Let it grow.
Yeah. Go to the homeless guy and ask him how he did it. I bet you. Matter of fact,
I'm not preoccupied with anything else, dude. I just let it grow.
Yeah, you just posted the picture of your dad the other day that just happens to have the same beard.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's got a full head of hair, though, by the way.
He did the way you did. His is not as clean.
He took the expedited course.
So he's proof. He's proof.
Anybody could do it.
Yeah, anybody could do it. And number two is it's probably not the washing. It's not.
It's not any beard oils. It's not any special technique. It's just literally just let it grow. But that's life, right? I mean, in life in general, that's the thing. What we're talking about here is relationships, career, and life, right?
Right.
Like, I'm not gonna lie. I see people like yourself who've got like 30 years in when it comes to marriage.
Yeah.
Dude, I cannot wait till I can start telling people I've got like major time in, because that to me is so impressive, right? As somebody who's still relatively new to the marriage thing, matter of fact, next month though, it'll be 4 years. Thank you very much. But I can't wait till I get into the double digits. Yeah. Like that to me is such a badge of honor for people to have, that you've overcome the odds and you've made it, and you've worked together and built something with somebody for this many years. No. But it's just going to take time. There's nothing I can do to speed that up.
And it just makes me less of a suspect if something should happen to Dana.
Yeah, right.
It says, why did he wait that long?
Yeah, right.
If he was going to kill her, he would have killed her a long time ago.
Exactly. But that's the thing, man. It's just patience. In life in general, it's just patience.
That's it.
Trust the process.
That's it.
Allow it to happen. It will happen usually. Whatever's meant to happen happens every single time. Mm-hmm. That's the craziest thing that people don't want to appreciate.
And getting back to the spirituality part of it, is it all right, so what am I doing if I'm trying to push that? If I'm trying to rush something, I'm not embracing that moment. Yeah. So what if I feel like I'm missing some sort of lesson in where I'm at if I'm constantly focused on where I want to be.
Right.
If I'm so now, it's not bad to want to be somewhere, but I also want to embrace every lesson and every nuance that happens here. And I'm going to give you an example. So when my kids talk about certain things in their childhood, I was so busy out there career-wise building, right, that some of these, as many family moments as I was present for, is as much as I was there for every school recital, everybody, I still missed some things.
Sure. Because
when they talk about some things, and I'll be like, God, I don't remember that, thinking it's my memory, and they'll go, oh, no, you weren't there.
Right.
And it's like, wow, man, oh, God, Trinity. It's like a boom, boom, boom. And so I'm thinking, wow, even in those times where I felt so present, but I was also building, so justifiably so, I had to miss some things. It's like, man, there were still little moments there that I didn't soak them in enough. I didn't embrace them, and now look at them. My youngest child is 18 years old.
Yeah.
My youngest child is 18 years old. I wish I could have embraced more time than even what I did. So don't allow time, something that everybody wants but nobody can purchase. It is what it is. The time you have right now is all you're going to get.
Yep.
And if you treat it like it's all I'm going to get, let me embrace it and love it. But if I nurture it enough, I just may get another one.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
Yeah, I mean, I say that all the time, like as far as spending time with one another, things of that nature. Yeah. It's what I tell my kids and my wife. Like I have this conversation a lot, and that is, like, I don't know. Instead of, like, one of my biggest things is I like to make memories. That's my thing.
It.
I enjoy instead of getting a gift or something.
Yeah.
I'd much rather spend that time and effort and money on a vacation or on some sort of memory.
Yeah. Because
the way I explain it is, I've never heard anybody in my life on their deathbed kind of rehashing life, saying, "God, I really wish I would have bought that
never,
whatever it was,
never,
or I really wish I would have worked more." No, it's always, I wish I would have spent more time.
Yeah.
I wish I would have created more memories.
More
connections. I wish I would have done connection. And so that's something I take to heart, man. Yeah. I don't want to be that guy that's laying on my deathbed, going back over my life with regrets.
I got that from and I still remember the homeless guy that I got it from in Hollywood. I'd walk Hollywood Boulevard and Sunset and all that stuff back in the day when I first went into my transformation, and when I would walk, and I wasn't homeless, but I'd walk and I communicated with these guys, and there was this one old guy and on Hollywood Boulevard, and I had talked to him a lot, and at one time he kind of just it resonated, because he did not say, I wish I would have had that Mercedes Benz. He had a daughter that he hadn't seen in forever, and it just says, I wish I could talk to my daughter. She'll never talk to me again. And God, that hit hard. It's like, wow, man, this guy can't even pick up the phone. First of all, he didn't have the money to even pick up the phone.
Right.
But then he had no even hope that she would even do anything with that phone call.
I could imagine that.
So he was just living to die.
Yeah.
Because the only thing he wanted in his life was to be reconnected with his daughter, but he felt like such a piece of crap that he felt it was better for her that he just go away and die somewhere instead of ever try to reconnect with her. That's better for her. Right. That's how he justified in his head. God, man, that was hard to watch.
Yeah. I mean,
but he taught me a lot, and so I thank him forever. And I still have the vision of him in my head from that conversation.
And Richard Coleman actually is watching us on Facebook.
What's up, Richard?
Live. He actually made a comment which I think bears repeating. And he said you could he said contribute, but I think he meant attribute. You could attribute the divorce rate to a lack of understanding of the process before entering into marriage.
Yeah.
I kid you not. I don't know why. For whatever reason, my wife and I were reliving some past. Yesterday, we just kind of...
Were you?
Yeah, we were just talking.
In a good way?
Yeah, in a great way, actually. We were just talking about how far we've come.
Oh, okay.
I think we know some people. There's a lot of people she's surrounded by at the moment that are going through divorces and whatnot. And so her and I were talking about some things and just kind of reliving some stuff early on that we were just like, what were we thinking? Oh, my God. We were just kind of patting each other on the back for how far we've come, essentially.
Good for you.
But one of the things that I learned in my process of going through and building a marriage that I never kind of understood ahead of time, but now it's the only thing that I tell everybody that I talk to that says they're getting married, and that is pre-marriage counseling. Like, when I heard pre-marriage counseling, and I'm in this world, dude, like, everybody I know is a counselor, like, this is what we do. I still associated pre-marriage counseling with things are going poorly, go get counseling. Not things are going great, let's ensure that they go great, right? And so what I didn't understand was pre-marriage counseling helps you hash through all those little tiny decisions that you take for granted that are going to come up, and it's part of the process, if you will. And so for me, dude, like, that's the first thing I tell people, and that is because there is a process to marriage, and the process is you're going to get to know one another, you're going to have mistakes, you're going to fail at things. And it's okay. Like, it's not meant to be perfect right now. It is not going to be. That expectation that it's going to be, you're not respecting the process. Like, to me, looking back on it now, I disrespected the 30 years that it took you to get to where you're at. I was expecting to have what you have tomorrow. Right. Or the other people that I know.
Right. Or you judge yours based on that.
Yeah. And you can't. Yeah. Like, I can't have... Right. And that was, that was a thing that her and I, because we have a blended family... and so her and I were like, there was moments where she was expecting me to have the kind of relationship I have now with her daughter back then. Right. And I was trying to explain to her, I was like, I don't even know, like, you've had your daughter since birth. You used to wipe her butt. Like, I've only known her for like a few months. Like,
and it's kind of inappropriate to wipe her butt at 11.
Exactly. Just kidding. So I was like, you got to give me some time to develop that connection, Right. And now, obviously, she's like one of my favorite people. Her and I are like two bosom buddies. She's awesome.
You guys are cool together.
But it took time to get there, and I didn't trust the process. She didn't trust the process. So, Richard, you're 100% right. And I think that's how, in relationships, people don't trust the process of working things out. Right. Like, you're going to figure it out. Right. It doesn't feel like it sometimes if you're in the middle of it, because sometimes you can feel like you're so far apart that there's just no way you're going to, you will. Just stop. Just slow down, trust the process, have some patience, let it kind of unfold. Yeah. Be cool.
It won't if you react to it.
Yeah, you gotta respond.
If you want to react and be right, and wait for that person to say, you know what, I'm just calling you because I want you to come back home because you were 100% right.
Oh God, I would love for my wife to do that. Just once. Just once, I would love for her to do that.
Let me tell you something, man. I just simply look at her mother and know that ain't happening.
Exactly.
It ain't happening. She's still, her ex-husband's dead and buried, and she's still not saying he was right. So it ain't happening.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna worry. I'm not gonna wait for that one.
And that's okay though, right?
Yeah. But it better be.
It's just okay. It's part of the process.
Yeah, and if you ever think that there's another one out there that's some, the ones that get in your ear and will tell you I would be different.
Yeah, whatever.
Don't.
Yeah, no, they're all the same. We're all the same.
We are all very similar.
Everybody's the same.
There's like 7 total real personalities on this planet. That's it.
Yeah,
it may come in a million different shapes, right? Or a billion different shapes.
Same.
But there's basically 7.
Yes.
And you know what? There's basically 3 that are most dominant. And that's it.
Yeah.
So it's gonna happen.
Yes. But no, so that's a very good point, Richard, man.
Right.
Glad for bringing that up. But so be it in relationships, be it in career path or life in general, which encompasses all of that. I'm going to make sure I repeat these so we can make sure we cover them, because we did put some effort in before the show, guys.
Oh, did we?
Yes. So I have trust the process. I have patience. Trust yourself. Allow one decision to lead to others. And then manage expectations. So I do believe we hit all of our key points, by the way. And we have plenty of time. But I just want to make sure we are aces at what we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that for me, that is one of the most important ones, is trust the process and managing expectations.
Well, I think
those are the most important things that I've learned in my life when it comes to progression.
Expectations are huge. I think that is trust. I think you're hitting on the right ones. Trust and expectations is huge. And I think when you know that you have failed yourself so many times, when you know that other people have failed you, it's hard to have that trust. I get it. But work on the trust issues rather than losing faith that trust is necessary.
Yeah.
And the reason trust is necessary is because it gives you some sort of hope and faith. And I don't think you can fully understand how much fuel hope and faith is.
Yeah.
Until you have it and realize, whoa, this is a real good fuel. It's like finding a new flammable liquid, right? You don't know how flammable something is until you actually light it on fire.
Yeah.
Well, hope and faith are that powerful. So if there's another key, like when you're talking about these relationships, and Dana and I didn't do this, but I think it would be very powerful. And don't think I'm still not thinking about doing it simply for the end of years kind of relationship, the kind of relationship that I want to keep to go into our 70s with and 80s with.
That's right around the corner for you.
Yeah, it is pretty close now. is the faith part, is the practicing faith together. I think that early on, if you practice a faith together early on, regardless of what it is, like on this show we talk about Buddhism and all those beautiful principles and the four truths and eightfold path. I think that's a beautiful thing, because then you're actually physically discussing something and you're doing something together, and so that can keep you growing as close together as possible, that when you practice different faiths or different beliefs that can really grow you apart.
It can,
because you're not trying to grow together into the next whatever,
right?
You know what I mean? Now, for now, I'm just trying to make it to the next day, right? The next day, the next week, the next month, the next year. But there's also the what if the next life,
right?
Or what if the next, I don't know what it is.
Nobody does.
But I'm getting closer, Trinity. so because of that, I want to die gracefully.
Right.
And I want to be in that bed gracefully, feeling real at peace with the decisions that I've made. And I'm one of those people that don't like regrets. I don't want to regret anything.
I've got
no regrets. No regrets. I don't want to regret anything.
Yep.
And I know I've hurt some of you out there, and I know I've done some damage to some people out there, but I can't regret that. I'm sorry. I can apologize to you, but I can't regret it from me, because I have to just take the lesson.
Well, remorse and regret are two different things.
Right. I have remorse, but just no regret, because I was able to grab something from that I was able to help someone else, with it. So what I'm saying is that faith component, I think is really strong. So like when you do these talks about the four truths and the eightfold path, if you and your wife can sit together and fully understand that, that really helps.
I think that's one of the things that actually drew us together. was, she doesn't call herself a Buddhist or anything, but she has a lot of these same kind of principles, like some of these same sort of belief systems.
The core belief, right?
Yeah. And I do believe that was one of the things that brought us together, was she appreciated that in me and vice versa. I will say, though, that for me, spirituality was the key, right? With all of these things, for me, spirituality was the key in the sense that prior to spirituality, I depended so heavily on those other things to facilitate my happiness. Right. It's like I needed to have this work out this way for me to be happy.
Or to make someone else happy.
Or to make someone else
happy. Like I need to buy them this for them to be happy.
And so for me, what spirituality did for me is it gave me that fulfillment to where I could want these things and I could work for them, but I'm good. Like I don't need that to be happy. Right. I don't need that to get my fulfillment on a daily basis. And so for me, that was the missing component. I was already into the health and fitness stuff. I already read a lot. I already did all the mental intrinsic growing and whatnot, the psychological part, all the three of the phases. But spirituality was just non-existent for me. Right. And so that was the balance that I needed. When I started kind of, introducing that to my life and stopped acting like it was, the whatever you want to call it. Right. This is horrible. No, I just, what if? Right. And so I read a little bit and understood it and kind of started practicing it. And that was it. And that's what enables me now to have patience and to trust the process, because I trust now that whatever that process is, it's going to end up where it needs to end up. Yeah. And that might not always align up with where I think it should end up, but there's a reason for that. Maybe there's a lesson I need to learn in there. Maybe I'm just not ready for whatever that might be. It'll happen when it's supposed to happen, and I can take solace in that.
Yeah, but haven't you noticed that the older people get, there's less opportunity to learn and listen by the way they develop their life? In other words, the way the life is kind of set up at the older years, you're not really practicing learning and listening as much. Yeah. And I think that's why I'm thinking in that way, Trinity. Because as we move into this next home that we've purchased, as we move into this next phase of life where we're going to enjoy all new memories in this new home, the way we've enjoyed all of our memories in our last home, I'm looking forward to that. I'm thinking, I don't want to stop learning and listening and developing. And I think that when you go somewhere or listen to something or someone that is constantly giving teachings of some sort, then you stay actively learning and listening and growing.
I agree.
But if you become that older guy that I just go play golf, because I now live on a golf, if I just go play golf every day, and I just hang around the same kind of people that I want to hang out with, that think like me, talk like me, well, then there's no opportunity to learn and listen. And if I just watch TV that agrees with my viewpoint, and I just hang out with people that agree with my viewpoint, and I ignore everyone else outside of it, I'm not going to grow and learn and listen anymore. What I'm saying is I'm done. Yeah. Now I'm just going to hang out until it's over.
Yeah. Or even the whole, listening to argue even.
Oh, God, the being on pause?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you just stick on pause, waiting for the other person to shut up so you can just press play instead of record.
Like, I already know the answer. Yeah. I'm going to be polite and let you get your point out. Right. But I'm not really listening to understand where you're coming from. I'm just waiting for you to finish talking so I can tell you how wrong you are. Right. I know a lot of people who do that as well. Right. And so, I agree. Like, that is one of the things that I respect the most in people, and the thing that I want to emulate the most. And I've actually ended relationships in the past because I didn't see that in people, and that is this desire for intrinsic growth. That is, I don't know, I can't explain why, but that is so important to me as a person, and qualities in others, is this need to constantly improve and to grow. It is extremely important to me, and I agree with you in the sense of, especially in the position that we're at, where people come to us a lot to ask things, it's very easy to forget that we still need to learn.
It doesn't shock me that you're into that, because from the outside, if I were to judge you just strictly from the outside, I would say you're
judge away.
I would say that you're an individual that obviously understands the importance of a muscle, and I think that you just treat that internal growth as another muscle. Because you have appreciated and respected your muscles enough to nurture them and to grow them and to work them out, and you knew by working them out slowly they became massive. So I think that there's no difference with you, at least. With you, I don't think you view that as very different.
I can see that, I guess. I just like knowing stuff. But I do like learning.
But I think that's the muscle.
Yeah,
the knowledge to you is a muscle. I think you use it like a muscle. I think you enjoy knowing things. When there's a conversation, You don't want to be the guy that says, I don't know, Jack, what you guys
correct. That's 100% correct.
You know?
You got anything you want to add before we close it out? We got like 2 minutes.
Well, I mean...
Well, don't take up the whole 2 minutes.
Well, I think I will.
You can. That's why I said it.
In closing, let me get my shirt. What was it again? Deadpool?
I know you're happy because your Steelers are looking good, so...
We have won 4 out of the last 5,
you guys
right?
look great right now.
Yeah, and what happened last night to the good old 49ers?
Yeah, whatever. I walked right into that. I deserve it.
Why'd you even bring that up?
I know.
Now I'll really take up all the last 2 minutes.
I walked right into that one.
Anyway, you guys are doing great this year. I mean, maybe you'll still be there when we get there. Yeah. When we're in the Super Bowl, maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe, but
we shall see.
I don't know about that. But anyway. All right, so what is it? Unfolding. Here's the thing with unfolding. Sometimes things that unfold are really messy. It's not always a nicely folded piece of paper. It's not always folded the way you would fold it or how it should be folded. I think back to when I was in grade school and the girls would fold notes that would ask you if you want to go out with them, and it was folded 50 million different ways, and it had a nice little seal to it, and I could never fold it back up the way it was given to me. But guess what? When you get a piece of paper and you ball it up in a ball and throw it at somebody, it still can be unfolded. That ball, as messy as it is, or as how little thought went into it, and how ugly it could be to somebody else, and how maybe they don't look at it like a folded piece of paper, they look at it like a crumpled up ball, it is still something that can be unfolded and straightened out and pressed. And again, it may not look as beautiful and pretty, but at the end of the day, it can still be legible. Whatever was in there can still be legible and still be used to progress to the next level. And that's kind of the way I view me, spiritually, the way I view the unfolding of things. Sometimes it's nice and neat. Sometimes it's crumpled up. Either way, let it unfold. Take a look at it. If it's useful, keep doing what you're doing. If it's not useful, be daring enough to just crumple it right back up, throw it away, unfold a different piece of paper. That may not have been intended for you. That was someone else's note. Anyway, I'm off.
Very nice. Very interesting. So, as usual, we're going to wrap things up with the 3 tips and kind of bring some closure to this. All right, so the first tip that I have for letting it unfold is number 1, trust your current move. Given the fact that you have the right intentions and the right goals, things of that nature, things that are positive for yourself and going to help you progress in life, you have to trust that what you're doing right now is the right move that is going to lead to the next right move, and so on and so forth. The second one is have patience to allow that process to unfold. If you're making the right moves and you're trusting your instincts and you're trusting your intent and what you're trying to make happen, then you have to have patience to allow those steps to actually unfold. And they're going to happen on the timeline that they're meant to happen, not the timeline that you want to happen. And then finally, the third one is what's meant to happen always does. And that's the cool thing about life, is we do the best we can, but at the end of the day, we're still kind of a passenger in life. And life is going to do what life is going to do. It's our job to adapt to that and trust that things are going to work out the way they're meant to work out. It's hard to do, but it is possible. And I think that's where we find the peace in this peace in the fact of knowing that things are going to do what they're going to do. I do the best I can. I make the best decisions I can. I have the right intentions. I'm having patience. What's going to happen is always going to happen. So I think that's all I got today. Now that you know better, do better. Peace. Are you still here? What are you doing? I told you, go do better.